let's look at how to configure BGP neighbors in a simple lab example, and also how to configure the BGP authentication. Okay, so this is our modified topology, and in this new topology, what we've done is we've moved router 2 behind the ASA, and we haven't really done much of a configuration, but we do have OSPF running on R2, R1, and the ASA so that we have reachability. And so one of the first things that we'll do just to make sure that we do have that reachability is from R2, we'll make sure that we can ping to R1. And R2 is on the inside of the ASA. R1 is what would be considered the outside interface. But what we want to do for this example is establish an eBGP peering between R1 and R2. So they're in different networks there. And so we want to make sure that we can do an eBGP peering between them. Typically, eBGP peers are directly connected, so we're going to have to do a little bit of configuration here. And then we've put the ASA in the middle there just to exercise some of what we've learned in this lesson here, where we are going to modify our access list to allow the inbound and outbound TCP sessions. And then remember, the decision will be based on the higher router ID as far as which one of those TCP connections is maintained. And we are also going to have to set up some authentication here and then make sure that we do the no random sequence numbering and make sure that TCP option 19 is allowed so that the BGP authentication will be successful and that we can maintain that BGP peer. That's all we want to do in this lesson. Make sure that we know how to do that authentication and make sure that we can adjust when we have an ASA in the path. So we'll do all of that in this configuration now. Let's go ahead and go to R2. And as mentioned, we were going to make sure that we have ping reachability over to router 1. And evidently we do. Now we won't have ping reachability in the opposite direction because we have a stateful firewall in the middle, and that is ASA 1. So one of the things we could do is we can move this ASA over here. We could actually move these switches out of the way because we're not really using them. So we have R1 followed by the ASA followed by R2.